All right, folks, another episode of DFC. I'm Horton, that's Trent. Trent, we're like 4 weeks away from Moomba Masters. I'm looking at the entry list. I think your comment to me is most interesting is the depth of the women's field. Whitney McClintock, Manon Custard, Karen Truelove, Sandy Oliver, Samantha Dumala, Brooke Baldwin are our top six. Mm-hmm. All the way down to 19th, we have Karina Nolan's little sister, Sierra. It's quite a field.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, the depth is really impressive in women's slalom. And I think also just the commitment by a bunch of the younger skiers to make that trek over there. Like you had said, Sam Damala, and then Paige Rini and Neely Ross are also going to make it over there. So there is a ton of girls, women, young girls, that can run 38. That can, this one's going to be fun to watch for sure. I think the men's slalom field is as deep as ever. All the guys typically travel pretty well for that event. I think. Probably an exciting note is that Jarrett Llewellyn's name is on the jump list, which is,
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you followed his career over the past 5 years, a lot of injuries, a lot of comebacks, followed by injuries, followed by comebacks, and I mean, it's amazing. He's probably, I'm going to guess 45, but he's right in there somewhere, and he's officially back. I mean, he's going to travel over to Melbourne and I know he's not slaloming. He's going to jump and trick at the Australian Masters. I think it's incredible.
If he wasn't one of the greatest overall skiers in the history of the sport, mm-hmm. I would say his propensity to get injured would be a running joke. But the guy's so good, I can't. You can't make fun of one of the greatest ever. But my gosh, he can blow an ACL walking down the street.
But he's just competed at like just a preposterously high level for so long that's just kind of part of the game, Any of the guys that haven't been injured with that kind of frequency are, they're equal parts luck and hard work. But Jared, Ryan Dodd said it best in the way he looks at Jarrett. Is he said no one works harder. But no one has more fun doing it. He said you can be around Jarrett for a month and he's working his butt off, but he's enjoying it so much that it really doesn't seem like work to watch him. So it's exciting, man. Like it's you look at Freddie into his 40s, Ellis well into his 40s, Jarrett's back. It's you see it across a lot of different sports where working harder, working smarter, the latter being the more important factor, and these guys are just skiing at amazingly high levels for a greater period of time. So it'll be cool to watch Jared. I think surprising to me was no Jimmy Seamers on this list. The defending trick champion, I don't see his name on there.
Yeah. Well, he lives sometimes near you. Do you see him? Is he around?
No, I'd have to travel to Peru to see him. But fingers crossed that it's just Jimmy being Jimmy and he hasn't sent his entry in yet.
Likely. All right. So, like you said, amazing field. I want to make the comment that the only major name I can find not on these lists is Regina. Typically, she doesn't go because not only is she one of the greatest athletes in the history of the sport, but she also has a full-time job and runs a business. So,
and
it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out.
Yeah, and it's I would assume that she would go, but Santa Rosa, that part of Florida is it's not easy to rely on February training there. It's a lot like the weather here. It could be 80 one day, 40 the next kind of thing. So, she is a no-show, but typical of Regina. She doesn't travel to Moomba for the start of the season.
Right, and it's for the folks that haven't been paying attention over the years. It is probably the most adverse conditions of a annual event possible. People talk about Robin Lake being challenging. The Yarra River is a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing about that one is if Robin Lake is terrible it's probably going to be terrible all day. The Yarra River has the ability to be terrible to glamorous to unskiable in the span of an hour, So it's always, this is the one everyone gets excited for. This is what kicks off the season. You look around, everyone's training right now. Everyone's got their tickets booked. So get ready because, the season begins in a month.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so moving on, the other big news we have to cover is Mr. Christopher Parrish, man that I consider to be the most interesting slalom skier in the world to watch, has signed with HO Sports. And Trent, I believe you've talked to Chris about this.
Yeah, man. So it was he was kind of like doing a sneaky leak on it. If you follow his social media, you started seeing syndicate hashtags popping up, and we kind of left well enough alone. But yeah, we pried in there a little bit, and yeah, he's officially going to be skiing with HO again. Because if you remember back in early 2000s, somewhere in there, he skied with HO for a short period of time. Is that right?
Yeah, Monza era,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So left, with Monza before A1, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Winner.
So yeah, he's back. I actually just got off the phone with him. He was currently packing his bag, headed to Ski Paradise in Acapulco. He said he has a bag full of alphas, and he's excited. He's already raving about the ski already. And so this is going to mark his his comeback. He's been gone. We didn't see much of him for the past 15 months or so, but it looks like he's officially back.
Yeah, it's fantastic. What else did he tell you?
So we talked a little bit. There was a lot of rumor over the last year and a half, like where's Parrish, and sort of general consensus was Parrish is hurt, his neck is jacked, not good. So he likes to kind of keep things a little bit close to the chest, but we've been speaking a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and he said injury really wasn't the problem. He just said he sort of lost his place in the sport, and that's not to say that he wasn't skiing well enough to be showing up and winning or vying for titles, but he just said a string of events back to back, and he just he said, full disclosure, I was just depressed. I didn't know what I wanted to do with this sport. I didn't know where my place was. And like I always say, like sport is a microcosm for life. So he was just a little bit lost. He said, we're going to date way back. He said he lost his best friend, his mentor. When we all lost Andy Mapple, and he said that one obviously struck him as hard or harder than most. And then he said, fast forward a few months, I have a possible career-ending injury. Fast forward a few months, I have to undergo this spinal surgery, which could have went, either way. And he came back from that, started rehabbing, started, feeling like everything was back together again. And then he lost a career-long sponsor in Nautique Boats, and he just said that, they were like family, and he just said it came out of left field, and he just wasn't ready to. He didn't have anything left to keep dealing with these blows. So he took some time and stepped away from the sport and started figuring out what's important to him and where his happiness comes from, and this is like all a big long-winded thing, but for me talking to him, I think it's important to remember that he's like a legend, a pillar in the sport. He's a lot of people's idol, hero, and when someone like that can just say, look, man, a lot of stuff was weighing heavy on my heart, and I couldn't deal with it and keep training in a manner that was going to let me perform the way I know I can, then if it can affect him, it can affect any of us. So I just thought it was really cool that he full disclosure. Look, I want you guys to talk about this, and maybe it could help someone else along the way. But yes, he's got a new sponsor. He's got a lot of the negative things behind him, and he just said he's like he was 10 years ago. He's enjoying the process. He's skiing hard, and he's skiing because he loves it, and he's surrounding himself with the right people. He's coaching, and he's obviously helping design new skis, and he just feels like he has a whole new lease on life with HO1 and just with this new outlook on everything again. He said he's not going to Moomba. It's just going to be a little bit too soon with a transition from onto a new ski, but he just said, I'm going to go to every event that feels right, and he said he's training with more of a carefree abandon. He's skiing because he loves it. Therefore, he's skiing really well again. And this is gonna be a fun year to watch him. Like he said, if I end up on the podium, awesome. If I don't, then I'm gonna go home and work harder because it's that hard work that's really driving me again. So I think it's an exciting time to be Chris Parrish, and it's an exciting time to be watching him. I think it's gonna be cool to see what he comes up with this year.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love the guy. I just want to remind the folks at home, we've been watching, Nate with Freddie nipping his heels for the last couple of years. Everybody needs to remember that there's only two men in history that have ever gotten around two ball and back to the wakes at 43 off, and that's Parrish and Nate. So if he's on his game, he's going to put a whole new spin on that top of the sport. I agree, it's going to be fantastic.
It is really cool.
Cheering for the guy. I'm so happy he's back.
Yeah, me too. And I just remember there was a string in 05, 06, 07 where as easy as Nate makes 41 look now, Parrish was doing that 10, 12 years ago, not just running it but making it look laughable. So it's cool, man. He's a wonderful guy for the sport, and it's just cool to see him back having fun skiing hard.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's our show. We'll be back in a week with another show. Thank you, Trent.
Got it. Thanks, Sean.